like this little dirty little bass line.
I don't fucking care. Can we move on to a new segment, please?
Yeah!
Welcome to Just Two Fans, a sports show about sports,
Obviously.
about life,
Because sports are life.
and about just whatever the hell we feel like talking about. So, let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Jay Freelander. That's Eli Johnson. The greatest thing ever. And we didn't get to talk about it last week because your boy has COVID. That would be muy bad. Can they hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yes? No? Maybe so?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had COVID, so that's why we did not record last week. Still recovering from COVID. One small perk of having COVID this past weekend is I watched more football than I have watched in my entire life. Just literally sat on the couch all day Saturday, watched pretty much every game possible, and it was incredible. That part of it was great. The feeling like shit part and missing the Colorado-Nebraska game part and, making my wife solo parent for 5 days. Not a great part of having COVID.
I appreciate the order you put those in.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you did.
She's not watching.
She'll never know.
Exactly. Unless one of you snitches on me, which I wouldn't put it past either of you two fucks. And thank you, Cameron, for chiming in. That's super producer Cameron, for those who don't know, the man behind the glass. And maybe the co-host of today's episode, because Eli can't figure his shit out again.
Oh, my goodness.
He looks really happy about it, too.
It was straight up working. I know they can't hear me. Idiots. It was straight. It's just frozen. I don't know what happened. I might have to restart the stream real quick.
Okay, we're going to start over in a couple minutes while Eli figures this out.
Wait.
No.
Wait, am I up? He says he is alive. I hear he is alive.
We got him.
I didn't change a goddamn thing.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Your
we got
computer's
him.
on crack, bro.
Yeah. I don't. It's just it's Streamlabs, dude. Probably.
Well, you're back.
It was working perfectly in our test, and
we even test this shit now because we had all those hiccups to start. Like we have formulas to make this work, and they all checked out.
I literally did the test. I changed my input capture. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We're here. And we're streaming live again, guys.
Dude, chat turned on Jamie really quickly once they could hear Eli. Like, it's all, Jamie's the best. And now it's like, God, Jamie sounds awful with COVID. Thank God Eli's back.
I do sound fucking awful, dude. And I'm gonna have coughing
says as he's like,
I'm gonna have coughing attacks. I sound nasally as hell.
oh, brother, this guy stinks. Thanks,
Yeah.
dude.
I'm
Ouch.
really glad.
Oh my gosh, boys.
Anyway.
this is off to a roaring start, as is wont to do on this show.
Always, man. Like, I don't know how we can clean this up ever. It's just the first.
I think here's the thing. I think it's just part of our personality as the show.
I think it is.
It's just like having like weird bad technical difficulties. And until our viewers can, blow us up, hit that like and subscribe, and really get us famous, we can't afford to get somebody to do this for us. So you're stuck with me struggle shuttling my way through Streamlabs. I'm a millennial. I can't do this shit. This is for the young kids.
Way beyond.
I'm in my
30s.
I can't learn Streamlabs, guys. I can't learn Streamlabs. It's beyond my. Probably more so. It's beyond my want of scope.
That's fair.
It is what it is, guys.
We've got so much college football to catch up on.
Yeah. Oh, you said it. College football, boy! It's time for Booch of the Week. This week, Eli's bringing you Booch from SodaStream. Sponsor us, SodaStream. This is the orange something. I didn't even read it, but it's orange. It's orange. Here we go. Little ASMR.
Oh, wow.
That was impressive.
That was very impressive.
SodaStream, carbonated as shit. That should be their slogan. It's not apple juice. Chat. It's orange. It tastes like orange Booch, It's fine. I have to keep that uncorked though, because that was like an impressive ASMR.
I've got ice cold water.
Ice cold water.
Lots of it, man. I've drank so much water.
It's good for you.
Oh, trying to get
Makes
over
pee
this
a lot.
shit. It does. It does.
It's always the worst when you're drinking like a ton of water and you're just like, I'm going to go pee for like the 12th time today.
Yeah, I have to pee like 15 times a day. It's wake up in the middle of the night, have to pee. It's terrible.
It's the worst.
And I'm in my 30s. Just like can't hold that shit like I used to.
Yeah, do you get the little dribs? Little dribs afterwards, A little aftershock action.
You guys can't see Cameron, but I wish you could right now.
I can't even see him. I have other stuff up on my screen.
He's just not having it with us at the very moment. And I love it. I love it. Anyway, before we get to college football, I do want to touch on the other sports because we do talk about them from time to time. So very small segment here to touch on. The NFL obviously has started, as Torsten has pointed out, that we are doing better than the Jets to start out this episode, which is true because the Jets had their star quarterback last all of 3 plays tonight before he went down with an injury.
That's also about how long my fantasy football team lasted.
Dude, my fantasy football teams are garbo right now.
I lost in all 3 leagues I'm in.
Hot trash. So bad. They are so bad. The Bills are getting beat, or the Bills are beating the Jets 13-3 right now. Some surprising results to start the season here, especially in the top of the AFC. You had the Chiefs losing to the Lions on Thursday night in Arrowhead. That's a shocking start. And then you had Joe Burrow playing his worst game of his career by a country mile in their 24-3 loss to Cleveland on Sunday.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
And now with the Bills beating the Jets isn't super surprising, but the Jets were getting all the hype leading up to the season with Aaron Rodgers.
I still think they deserve a lot of hype. And even in chat, Torsten's saying that the Jets D is still legit. They are very legit.
They are.
It's shaping up. Here's the thing, though. It's shaping up to be like a fun season, right? Where there's going to be a lot of different things going on. Maybe a little bit of parody. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is it's going to be like the Chiefs-Bills in the Super Bowl again.
Well, Chiefs and the Bills can't play in the Super Bowl.
You know what I mean. Chiefs or the Bills versus the Eagles.
Or the Niners.
So it'll be that.
Yeah, probably. It's just nice to see something. And this is probably all part of the script, right? Like this is all written out. All these teams struggle to start and then they come roaring back and we get it. The script's been written for a long time, so this shouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, so chat says this guy doesn't believe in divisions. I've never been good at the AFC NFC division. Never. Ever in my life have I been good at it. Nor do I really care. I'm going to be real. I don't give a shit because I watch college football, which, divisions be damned. Divisions be damned. So I don't really care, man.
Divisions, conferences, none of it matters.
None of it matters. Clearly. Just play ball. Ball.
I'm kind of a fan of finding a way to make it so the actual two best teams play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude. Why not?
The conference thing, I have no loyalty
here's what you
to
do.
the AFC.
You make football year round.
Mm-hmm.
Round robin.
Mm-hmm.
Top two teams play each other. I fixed football, guys. And you can even spread out the games every 2 weeks, right? Does that math?
Does that math? Probably. I don't know.
Probably not. There's a lot of combinations there.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't know. It probably doesn't work, but I like the, whatever. It doesn't matter. The NFL script's been written. We're just along for the ride. And
yeah.
I'm sticking to that. Moving on, baseball coming down to the home stretch here, and there are some surprising storylines of baseball. One not surprising storyline is the Colorado Rockies are hot trash.
They are garbo.
One of 4 teams eliminated from the playoffs already. Far and away the worst team in the National League by 12 games.
That's rough, buddy.
Not the worst team in baseball because the Oakland Athletics and the Kansas City Royals are still there, but pretty close.
Man,
they're muy bad. It's going to be the first 100 loss season in Rockies history. I'm going to win my under bet. I think the Rockies were at 63 over/under wins. I took the under. I'm going to win that.
Good job, buddy.
Good for me. Yeah, and then the rest of the National League, the Braves are doing Braves things. They've already clinched the East. They are looking like they're going to be the 1 seed out of the National League. Dodgers are doing their thing, have run away with the West. And the NL Central, as it always is coming down to the wire. You got the Brewers on top now with a 3-game lead over the Cubs, and the Reds sitting there 6.5 games back.
You know what should be surprising but isn't?
What?
The Padres being 465. The Padres sitting at a .465 win rate, 67 and 77, not even 500.
Far and away one of the most disappointing results of the season is the San Diego Padres.
And
that team's loaded and should not be anywhere near that record.
Also, my Mariners are really just they're wanting to blow it, kid. They had like an unbelievable August.
They had a record-setting August.
Unbelievable August.
Yeah.
And they've really shit the bed the last couple weeks. It's been pretty rough sledding.
They still have a 6-game lead on that last. Oh, no, they don't. They're a half game back of the last wild card spot.
Mm-hmm. They do have the easiest schedule in baseball going out.
Oh, wait a minute.
So that is a nice thing to have. And they're not turned it around, but they have a series against Oakland. That's great.
That is great. They're tied with the Rangers for the last wild card spot in the American League.
Which is cool because the last two of the last 3 series that they play is against the Rangers.
That's going to be must-see TV.
Yeah, it's going to be sick. That's
basically a playoff series.
Yeah. Oh, they're playing the Angels right now.
How they doing?
Your ugly mug is blocking my view. They're winning 3-2, bottom of the second.
There you go.
So the race is on, kids.
So the race is on. Baseball playoffs coming up. Always a fun time, baseball playoffs. Surprising team in the American League obviously is Baltimore at 91 and 52. Nobody saw that coming. And the Yankees on the brink of elimination, under 500 in September.
It's always a good day.
Ever happened?
It's always a good day when the Yankees get eliminated.
Almost the entire AL East is over 500, which is crazy. The Yankees are one game under 500. Everyone else is above 500. That's nuts.
It's wicked.
The Twins are looking like they're going to win the Central, 7.5 game lead there. The AL West is bonkers. Mariners, Rangers, and Astros all within 2.5 games of each other.
That's other sports.
That's other sports. Oh, and F1. F1 happened 2 weeks ago. No surprise, Max Verstappen won the Italian Grand Prix 2.0. Actually, this year it's the only Italian Grand Prix. Because the first one was rained out.
Yeah. And then we have one next week, right? This upcoming weekend?
Singapore.
Oh, I love Singapore.
Coming up this weekend.
Singapore is such a cool track.
It is, and it's like cool the fact that it's a night race there, and we get to watch it during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best race of the year, man. Oh, nope. It's 5 a.m.
Saturday night. I thought it was like Saturday night.
Race start on ESPN says it's at 5 a.m.
6 a.m. for me. Yep.
Never mind. Vegas.
Oh man, Cameron, that's after a night game in Boulder.
November 17th.
Rough.
Through the 19th. That's the Vegas one, Torsten.
Yeah, Vegas is Saturday night in the U.S. because they want it under the lights.
And the Japanese Grand Prix next week is Saturday night at 11 p.m.
Yeah, no, really, this back what is it, quarter of the F1 series is like mostly really good times for Americans.
Yeah, we get Austin, Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all great. Yeah. Except for Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, for me on the Pacific, for those in the Pacific time zone, we got 5 a.m. sucks. 10 p.m. awesome. 10 a.m. awesome. 12 p.m. the best. 1 p.m. second best. Then we got 9 a.m., 10 p.m., and then 5 a.m. to finish off the year. So it's going to be a good back quarter or back.
This weekend's going to be rough, man. I'm not going to get home from the CSU game till like midnight and then wake up for some Formula One. Yep.
Yeah. So I believe Dude Ouch is Squish. Squishy, it is just two fans, not two fans and one Cam. But Cam is here for our super producer, and he'll chime in for F1 because he won't shut up about F1. So it's a win-win for all of us.
And he'll chime in when it matters.
Exactly. So
which apparently is not now. I thought he was going to chime in there.
Apparently that was not the moment to chime in.
I don't entertain Squishy on the internet. He's not worth my time.
It's fair.
You got to move out of Idaho for me to care about you. As long as you're Squishy. Anyone else in Idaho that's a viewer, I care about you. Just not that one.
I was going to say, Cameron, you do care about Idaho. Idaho brings you some moolah.
Especially because Squishy's going to pay him for something,
He's going to pay us for the special 2 fans, 1 cam.
2 fans, 1 cam? That sounds gross. I don't want to see that. I don't think anyone else wants to see that.
2 fans, 1 cam Christmas special.
Buddy, we're early 2000s kids as far as high school. We saw some shit we never wanted to see.
What you're referencing is exactly one of those things.
God, there are so many of them too.
That's where we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it right at that. And we're going to move on.
We can go into it.
Nope. We're moving on to the greatest sport on earth. And dude,
let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
The first 2 weeks of college football have just been incredible.
They've been so fun.
Let's recap week 1 a little bit. I'm going to kind of lump all of this together. It's going to be kind of a weird combo of things. But hold on. Let me change something here real quick. We're just going to kind of do an overview of what's going on. So the Pac-12 started the season, the first week 0 and week 1, started 13-0.
Love that for us. Love that
The
for
only
RIP. Love that for us.
Only the third conference to be undefeated through week 1 since 2000. And definitely the best start. 13, I think the best before that was like the Big Ten in 2008 or something, and that's when it was 10 teams, and they were 10-0. So 13-0 is the best start of any conference ever. Through 2 weeks, the conference is now 21-4.
Technically, they ended up being 18-0 at one point.
18-0 to start the season. That was how this went, and then rattled off 4 losses in a row to end Saturday night in true Pac-12
almost 5, man. Almost 5.
Yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that 5th one. Yes, we are. But,
we are absolutely going to talk about that. It was
scary. That was scary. Non-conference record is 20-3. That is
good.
Nuts. That is nuts.
And it's not like they're playing slouches, right? I mean, that's beating Florida. That's beating Texas Tech. That's beating who else? There's another SEC team in there. Nebraska. That's beating TCU. No, who? There was another Wisconsin. Florida. I said Florida.
Did you say Florida?
I said Florida. Wisconsin. Yeah, I mean, like these are good wins. It's not like these are good like slouch wins.
Yep, they're good wins. And all so I saw this come up today. Records of Power 5 conferences through week 2, right? Pac-12 at 21-4.
Gang.
Really good. SEC 23-6, right? Okay, so not far behind. Big 10 21-7, also pretty good. Big 12 20-8, also good. ACC 20-8. Okay, so all these conferences not bad in to start the first 2 weeks. However, if you dig a little deeper,
just a little bit deeper,
here's the records against Power 5 opponents for the Power 5 conferences. The Pac-12 versus Power 5 non-conference opponents is 6-3.
Gang.
Next up, you have the ACC at 4-3. Those are the only 2 conferences that have a winning record against Power 5. And if you were to ask most people, what are the 2 weakest conferences in college football? Just like to start the season. Not people that pay attention like us. Just like the average SEC homer fan.
Literally any SEC fan.
Yeah, it's going to be the Pac-12 and the ACC. And yet, here we are. Those are the 2 best by most metrics right now. After that, you have the Big 12, which was probably the 3rd worst conference, according to those folks, at 4-5. Then you have the Big 10 and the SEC. Big 10's at 2-4, and the SEC is at 3-6 against Power 5 opponents.
Dude, we've been saying it for years.
Yeah.
That they're overrated, man.
Over-fucking-rated.
They have 1 or 2 good teams a year.
Listen, SEC fans, this isn't just Vanderbilt losing. Alabama fucking lost to a non-conference opponent. So get off your fucking high horse for once and understand that you're probably not the best conference right now. You may have the best team or a couple of the best teams, but in no way, shape, or form is the SEC the best conference.
I mean, again, Alabama lost. LSU also lost.
Yeah, which was a preseason top 5 team.
Yeah. It's go Ducks.
2 of your 3 top 5 teams lost to non-conference opponents. When are you guys going to wake up and realize that they are over-fucking-rated every year?
Every goddamn year. And it's dumb. I'm just going to rail on this again. Early season rankings are the dumbest fucking shit in the world.
It's so
both
stupid.
LSU and Alabama. LSU looked like shit again. Like,
Florida State.
Yeah, against Florida State, they looked awful. And Florida State's a good team. Don't get me wrong. LSU didn't look good. Like, and yet they're still in what, the top 15? They shouldn't be.
I think they're at 17 or something, but
Still.
yeah, they're way too high.
Nope, they are 14.
Oh, that's absurd.
They are one spot below an undefeated Oregon. They are above Oregon State, Colorado, Ole Miss, all 2-0. Every other team is 2-0 below them. Some of these have ranked wins.
Yeah, listen, man. You're spot on. Preseason rankings are a joke.
Garbage.
There's a reason that we're not going to give you our rankings until we're done with week 4. When conference play has begun for every conference, we're not going to do any rankings because I can't even, like, you said Oregon State in there, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit. I don't fucking know what Oregon State is. They've played San Jose State and UC fucking Davis, man.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. Right? So I'm not even just like harping on the SEC here. Like, the whole thing is a joke until we get at least of a quarter of the way through
that's
the
like,
season.
okay, so I'm still tempering my expectation of Colorado. They are obviously a way, way better team. But we don't know what TCU is, and I think Nebraska's bad. But they got the job done, which is better than fucking Colorado's done in years. But I'm still tempering. I'm still tempering my expectation because it's so early in the season. We don't know what these teams are.
And that's fine. But you also then have to temper your expectations of Oregon State, because if you're looking at Colorado's
absolutely, I am.
resume, Colorado arguably has a top 5 resume, right? Like, as it sits today.
Yeah, with the current preseason rankings.
Colorado's one of 2 teams that has 2 Power 5 opponents.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It's just it's all dumb that we have rankings right now. Because Colorado, like you said, Colorado right now is the best looking 2-0 team. Now, the teams they've played might be shitty. We don't know.
Right, but they're Power 5 opponents.
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, so it's all opinion. It's so unbelievably subjective at this point. Like, it's always going to be somewhat subjective, right? When you have this many teams and you're trying to cram a top 25 in across conferences, across levels, like, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you to start it out before you even know what the fuck these teams can do.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. The preseason rankings and early rankings, it just skews the whole thing, because none of this should even do anything until week 4. And
at least.
And if not halfway through the season, week 6. The problem is you have to have a metric somehow, and ratings are driven by these ranked matchups.
It's all. It's the whole. It's all TV.
Driven.
It's all TV money, man. Like, that's all college football is anymore. Is just TV money, and we've known this. And we bitch about it every fucking year, right? We have bitched about preseason rankings since I've met you.
Here's the other thing, though. By the end of the season, largely they have it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the most part. So it's not like it ruins the whole thing. But, like, for example, TCU starting the year at 17, I don't think so. We'll see what happens when they get into Big 12.
Yeah, but it's like it just gives. So the playoff committee does it right? They completely disregard the AP, which has been very apparent in the past. And like most college football seasons, like, the cream rises to the top. You're gonna end up being fine. And like, but it's just like, it gives some teams, if we were going by AP, it would give some teams unfair advantages. Like, Alabama would have Alabama would be able to lose 2 games before dropping out of the top 25. You look at, let's say, Duke, who's looked incredible over the last 2 weeks. They lose 1 game, it's game over. It doesn't matter to who. It's done. They're out of the top 25 for the rest of the year, pretty much. But Alabama can lose 2 before they even drop out of the top 20, probably. And it's just like, if we were going on this AP poll, it gives unfair advantage. That's why I actually love that the committee totally disregards it and brings it in week 6. Week 6?
I think it is after week 6.
So, yeah, that's my yearly rant on early season rankings.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, we have complained about that forever. That's why we're not doing it. We're not doing it till week 4.
We never will.
And we won't.
Because fuck that shit.
And let's get back to the Pac-12 start here for a little bit. The 3 non-conference losses are Arizona had a double overtime loss at Mississippi State.
Man, they had that too.
They had it in the bag.
Then Jaden DeLora
came up half a yard short of that first down. Otherwise, that was going to 3 overtimes.
Man.
Arizona State 12-point loss at home to Oklahoma State. That was the worst of the 3. Not surprising, though, if you've paid attention to our opinions on Arizona State. And then Cal's 4-point loss to Auburn. I don't know if you watched that game, but they should have won that game about 10 different times.
Yeah, no, Cal absolutely shot themselves in the foot that whole game. That whole game.
The refs didn't help them. They blew that. They blew that fumble recovery for touchdown dead.
Yeah, they should have won it. I mean, in all reality.
They just should have won.
Yep.
They were the better team.
They were absolutely the better team on that field.
And they should have
And it was apparent. Like, it wasn't like it was like,
no.
Like, if you would have just shown me, I don't know, without a score, without showing me scoring plays, if you would have shown me like the first half of that, I would have said Cal was up by 30.
Right.
They just couldn't score. They couldn't finish a drive, which is also on them, but at the same time, like, the refs didn't help them. They kept having momentum killers. It was unfortunate. They were the better team in that game.
Yep. So, bummer there. All right, last week, before we were supposed to record, we put out a tiers list for the Pac-12 after week 1.
Yeah.
Because we're not into rankings, but we did it tiers. We had Oregon up in the S tier and I had people ask me, like, what is this stupid alphabet thing that you have up? I'm like, well, it's tiers. And what's the S? I don't fucking know. It's just what all these things do. It's like Supreme or Superb or
it's always, if you were ever doing tiers, S is always the top tier.
It's always the top. So that's what it is. And we put Oregon up there. Are we homers? Yes. I don't care. We're homers. After that, we had Washington, USC, and Utah in the A tier, Oregon State and Colorado in the B, Cal, UCLA, Washington State, Arizona in the C, and then Arizona State and Stanford in the F.
You know, really, the only thing that I would want to change out of this is I want to move that B tier just all up into the A tier. They all looked good. They all look like they're playing good football. And, like, other than that, I feel pretty good about that list still. I might drop Oregon down into that A tier and just, like, have that group be packed up like that.
I mean, that's kind of what it is to start. We're just,
Wait, no, sorry.
Oregon,
I meant to move the C tier up into the B tier. That's what I meant.
C tier to the B tier, except for maybe. Nope, you're right. All of the C tier up into the B tier.
Yeah, C tier into B tier, and then so all of the teams except for Stanford and Arizona State, for me,
clearly Fs,
would be an A or B.
I think that's probably accurate. I would put, like, we also kind of had it in order here, right? I would put Cal back behind UCLA and Washington State, mostly just because they couldn't get it done. Like, good teams win those games that Cal lost, right? And we're going to talk about this in a minute, but good teams win the games that Oregon won.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the prettiest. Sometimes it's really ugly, but you find a way to win that game, right? Good teams win that game. Bad teams lose the game that Cal lost.
Yep.
So I'm dropping Cal a little. I'm dropping Arizona Arizona stays where they are for the same reason. So I'll bump Washington State and UCLA above Cal if I was to, like, put this in order. But you're right. That C tier is probably all in the B tier, and There's just a whole lot of real good in the Pac-12 right now.
A whole lot of real good is a good way to put it. And I like, for me, like, I don't even really necessarily want to put them in order right now.
No.
Like you said, I don't think we did. I think it's just kind of happy coincidence that it kind of ended up that way. Like just in our minds. But like I mean, I wouldn't want to put them in order. I love that the teams are in A tier and B tier, and then we have 2 teams in the F tier because they're bad.
We have eight ranked Pac-12 teams. 2/3 of the conference is ranked right now.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't, but it just shows at
least
that they're getting some recognition.
Yeah.
In their final year of existence.
R.I.P.
Unless Oregon State and Washington State have anything to do about it. We're not going to talk about the lawsuit today for those that want to hear about it, because I don't know jack shit about what it even means.
So I think I can touch on it a little bit. Is that it doesn't have to do anything with the teams that are leaving.
I knew that, yeah.
Except for the fact that the only thing they can do it's just barring those schools from making decisions for the 2 remaining. So those schools don't have a vote currently in any like Pac-12 matters for the future, which is a very smart move. I think this has been kind of an overplayed. If I'm understanding this correctly, it's an overplayed story because that makes sense that the teams leaving shouldn't vote about the Pac-12.
Right.
Like that just seems like no
logical.
Shit. No shit.
Yeah. So. It seems largely overblown to me.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw, but there's like I'm sure you have. It's all over fucking Twitter. There's like this weird camaraderie between Washington State and Oregon State now.
Yeah.
To the point where they announced the Washington State victory in Reser, and the fans went fucking nuts. Like they had just won the goddamn like Washington State had just won the Super Bowl. It's crazy. Okay, so from Torsten, he says essentially the school's leaving wants to use the excess funds from the Pac-12 to pay their transition fee, and WSU and OSU said fuck no.
That was part of it.
I'm fine with that.
Right. And boo on the 10 schools leaving for trying to do that shit.
Yeah, that's Pac-12 funds. You're not Pac-12 anymore.
Yeah, you're leaving. You have to pay the exit fee. I have no problem with that at all.
No.
All right, let's do a quick breakdown on how all these Pac-12 teams look after 2 weeks. We're going to kind of just go in somewhat of the order that we had here. So let's start with our Ducks. 2-0, destroyed Portland State as you're supposed to. 81-7, ridiculous game. Week 2, feeling pretty good going into Saturday. It was a tough game in Lubbock. That game throughout reminded me so much of that Washington State game last year.
It was almost exactly like that. It was almost the same game. Yeah, man, that was a tough game. And like fucking Duck fans, man, are so negative about this. Like it's so annoying to sit there and like read people be like, Dan Lanning needs to be fired. They were so undisciplined.
Oh my God. The Nega Ducks on Twitter are
so bad.
Insufferable.
But like, I think it can't be understated. One, apparently everybody forgot that most pundits were picking Texas Tech to be in the running for the Big 12 championship. A decent Big 12, right? So they're not a bad team. Yes, they slid to Wyoming. That's a bad fucking loss. It doesn't make them all of a sudden a really shitty team. Also, people are like, if you actually watched the Wyoming game or paid attention to it at all, they were up 17-0 in that game. Then there was a wild weather delay, and then they came back, and shit was just weird. The rest of that game. Yeah. So I'm not making an excuse for Texas Tech. It's a bad fucking loss. It's a
horrible loss. You can't lose that game if you're Texas Tech.
But here's the problem. They lost that game, and it made me more worried about this game.
That's the only thing that gave me pause, because I was like, Texas Tech is going to come out with their hair on fucking fire.
This is like one of those games where listener Torsten, his catchphrase would be trap game. This is exactly what this was leading up to, right? You've got a former Oregon quarterback who just lost an embarrassing loss at home with the most annoying fucking cowbells in the world just ringing the entire goddamn game. Like, that's set up to, and I even texted you, I was like, I'm confident about this game, but like, this is historically the kind of game Oregon would lose here.
And it also just can't be understated how hard it is to go on the road in a non-conference game and win. It's just not easy.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just, Texas Tech. And like, here's the thing is like, the game was ugly. And really, outside of Tyler Shuck's running game, like, the Ducks played really well in like a weird way. So, one, the penalties were awful. That was terrible penalties. But like, if you look statistically at that game, like, Oregon fucking dominated. Like, if you look, like, here, I'll pull some up right now. Of course, I hit the wrong button. Like, Texas Tech, outside of Tyler Shuck, ran for like 20 yards total.
It was closer to like,
73 total without Tyler Shuck.
But no rushing touchdowns.
Under 100
no rushing
yards
touchdown other than Tyler.
Yeah. Under 100 yards for the running backs.
Was it their average outside of Tyler Shuck was like super low, I think.
Well, Tyler Shuck, really. It wasn't awful, but like under 100 yards. They held the running backs to under 100 yards. Now, Tyler Shuck and designed runs by the quarterback is a part of that offense, so we can't just totally discount Tyler Shuck running the ball. But yeah, other than Tyler Shuck, they shut down the running backs.
Yeah, and really, like, Shuck had a fine game through the air. I mean, 282 yards. Then, I mean, we'll say 3 TDs and 2 interceptions. The last one, I don't really count that a whole lot.
Yeah, but they kept him to 63% completion rate. I mean, that's not lighting it up.
And this is another thing, like, that kind of gave me pause going into this game, is that Texas Tech runs an air raid offense with quarterback run, apparently. But they run an air raid offense, and Oregon's biggest weakness on defense is their secondary right now. And I think that showed. The 3-man front is always tough, especially against a quarterback like Shuck, who can like run up the middle like that, just like randomly. Just because there's less. If you're only rushing 3, there's a lot more gaps, right? It just makes sense. And they were dropping back a lot of the linebackers in coverage because they're throwing the ball fucking 38 times.
Yeah, here's
probably more than that.
Brings up a good point on the chat, and this is where I was headed after your point here is if we're saying they shut down Tyler Shuck, but Tyler Shuck's not all that great, the Pac-12 is absolutely loaded at quarterback. This is the best quarterback conference I have ever seen, and it's not close. Unreal talent at the quarterback position for every school not named Stanford and Cal. Every other school has a talented quarterback. Now, Arizona State, Jaden Rashada needs to figure it out. We don't know what Dante Moore is at UCLA yet, but the talent for both those guys is there. This conference is loaded. This defense needs to figure it the fuck out, and they need to figure it out fast.
Yeah, they do. And I also want to be clear. I think Tyler Shuck is a good quarterback. Like, people say, oh, he's so shitty. People forget that he also, like, won a Pac-12 championship, right? Like, Tyler Shuck, and we said it even when he's on the team, even when we didn't love what he was doing, like we said he had all the talent in the world. His mental game was lacking. So like,
and that showed up on Saturday.
Like Shuck's a good quarterback, guys. Like people forget that he was good. But yeah, I don't know. They definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. The defense needs to figure that shit out.
Tyler Shuck's good. Shedeur Sanders, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, those guys are better.
DJ Uyunglele are miles ahead of Tyler Shuck. So I understand the skepticism by Duck fans, but just don't turn that into an overreaction. That's like, there's reason to be concerned. Now, you can look at that two different ways. You can look at that as, man, this defense sucks. We're going to be terrible, and we're going to lose to all these much better quarterbacks than Tyler Shuck. Or you can look at that as, this is the first real game that Oregon played, and now they finally have something on tape that they can learn from.
And you know, one thing that Dan Lanning has been so consistent at is not having the same problems twice. Right? Like we saw it last year with the Georgia, that game was some of the worst tackling I've ever seen. You know what happened? The next 7 weeks, they had nearly perfect tackling. You know, he fixes mistakes very quickly. Like I said, like this schedule is fucking brutal. Like
every schedule.
This is gonna be rough. Like I'm of the mindset right now that the Pac-12 will be the best conference this year, but will not have a playoff team.
Oh, that's almost a certainty at this. I know I predicted Oregon going 12. I don't see. It's hard for me right now as we sit here to see any of these teams getting out without 2 losses. It is going to be absolute carnage in Pac-12 play.
It's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. I mean, like we with our little tier list, like there's no team in the B tier that couldn't win against any team in the A tier.
100%.
There are 2 teams that are not good in this conference. Everyone else can win any game.
Yep.
It is going to be absolute just cannibalism the whole season.
3-loss champ. That is fully in the cards this year. I don't think anything is out of the realm of possibility other than Arizona State and Stanford winning the conference. Everything else, from what I've seen in the first 2 weeks of the season, is entirely possible.
Yeah.
I've never seen a conference this stacked ever. I just haven't. It is loaded.
It's mostly top to bottom, which is insane.
The top 10 teams are in our S, A, and B tier.
Yeah.
Which means they can all beat each other. 10.
Yep.
In the Pac-12, I'm used to saying 6 or maybe 7.
Never like 8, back when it first started, there were 2.
10. Yeah.
Right? Like
this is insanity.
Yeah.
So enjoy it. It's going to be a rough ride, Pac-12 fans. You're going to lose. It's going to suck. And
yep, this is going to be a really shitty year because we're going to be like, these teams are so good and there's not going to be playoff representation.
If any of these teams somehow makes it out of this undefeated, they should be the number 1 team in the country.
I would agree with that.
I don't even care what Georgia does. They are the most deserving team of the number 1 slot.
Yeah, especially looking at Georgia's schedule.
Fully, wholeheartedly believe that.
I just don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't. I just don't see a possibility. Like when you got 10 teams that can beat each other, that's a lot. That's a huge ask.
Yep.
Anybody that has Arizona State and Stanford on their schedule, that's your best bet.
Yep. That's it.
But you still have to play, 7 others?
Ugh. It's going to be rough, boys. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough sledding, as they
It's gonna
say.
be tough sledding. Let's get back to Oregon a little bit. Got to clean up the penalties, as you said. So what are the keys to Oregon moving forward after that Texas Tech game? Clean up those penalties were inexcusable. Some of those defensive PIs were atrociously bad.
Yeah, if they're, I would say if you half that penalty amount, we're talking about a 20-point win.
At least 14. Yeah, I mean it's a double-digit win.
It's a double-digit win. I think fairly easy. I mean, there were a couple, like we talked about the pass interferences, but there were also on the other side of the ball there were a couple, like Josh Connolly Jr. himself. I even texted you saying fucking sophomore, making those really bad mental mistakes with I'm sure the cowbells ringing in his ear. He just panicked a little bit. Those are drive killers.
Yep.
Those are drive killers. And the first half of this game, the Ducks were behind the sticks for almost every drive.
Yeah, and they still scored.
Like, this team is still good. Torsten, it is his first real road start. I don't blame the kid. It's just like, that's just what it is, right? We're breaking in some new talent on the offensive line, which is very important. If you haven't watched the show, that's important to this guy. All right. But yeah, I mean, like, some of those are just drive killers. Like there was a couple where I can't remember exactly, but it was the first half. They were down to the 10, and they had like 3 penalties, just bad, dumb penalties in a row that made them try to kick a field goal. I can't even remember exactly what happened, but it's just like, okay, well, you guys are just leaving points out there, right?
Yeah, and he'll get better. I'm not worried about false starts as
no.
much, right?
I'm not. I don't want to say that was just Josh Connolly. He was just the person I pointed out because he made the very sophomore mistakes, right? There was holdings. There was just there's just dumb things that happen.
The more concerning ones to me were on the defensive side of the ball, and it was 2 defensive pass interferences in particular that really. It gave Texas Tech 14 points. One was on a 3rd and 12, I believe, and I think it was Kyrie Jackson.
It was either Kyrie Jackson had a bad game.
Kyrie Jackson, all he had to do was turn around, and it was a pick. And he just tackled the guy. It's like, nobody taught you that, I promise. And it certainly fucking wasn't Demetrius Martin. Right.
Yeah. Demetrius Martin is like proven talent guy.
Demetrius Martin is having a field day in the film room this week with Kyrie Jackson because
he's going to be like that dude on TikTok who's like, so I'm not athletic and that's why this happened. Like,
yeah.
Can't think what that guy's name is, but shout out to him because he's funny as shit.
So, and both of the PIs that I'm talking about, and I don't have the specific plays up, but both of them were on 3rd down and were either going to be an incomplete pass or it could have been picked off.
Yep.
And would have ended a drive, and both those drives ended in scores.
Yep.
So if you're talking like 2 plays specifically that would have, instead of Oregon winning by 8, you're winning by 20 right there.
Yeah. This is like a really frustrating game to watch as a fan for me because I think if you're watching the game, Oregon was clearly the better team. Again, like clearly the better team, but just like they just weren't getting it done, and it was like so frustrating because you're like, you guys have so much more talent than like you're better than this, right? Like that game was like they shot themselves in the foot all the whole first half, and then obviously the beginning of the second half was, oof.
Well, and yeah. And Texas Tech fans are quick to point out that overturned interception in the end zone.
I think that was the right call. I think that was 100% the right call.
It was the right call.
I know it's going to look like a homer, but I fully believe that if that was an Oregon interception, I would still have said that was incomplete because when you rolled over the ball, that ball was on the ground. And moving, and that is never, ever, ever been like it was not never ever, but it's been called that way.
Hit the ground now, but it moved.
It was behind his hand.
It was not.
It rolled onto the turf.
It was not secure.
That's where I genuinely believe that was the right call, and I said it from the start. I was like, that ball came out.
You did. You said it from the start. Cameron and I were in a texting conversation with our friend Bobby at that point. He's like, that's a bullshit call. I was like, it's not. He's like, he had it with 2 feet down. I said, he has to complete it through the ground. You can't just change the rules because you think it should be a catch. I don't write the fucking rules. That's what
an incredible display of athleticism and heads upness.
And we can argue about the rules another day and whether or not that should or shouldn't be a catch. But it wasn't a catch.
By rule, it's not a catch. Boom.
But
them's the rules.
As far as bullshit calls, that unnecessary roughness out of bounds, that kept our drive going.
Yeah, that was a bad call. But here's the thing.
That one was bad.
It was a bad call.
There was also
that was bad. And
that was a bad one.
To Bobby, I was like, no, that one, you can die on that hill about that call.
That was soft as shit.
Because that was a bad call.
So that one was bad, but there was also there was like an offset here because that happened on nearly the drive before that went against Texas that went against Oregon. Yeah. Like it's there was definitely bad calls in this game. I just think that particular interception call was the correct call. It was. I mean, guys. This was a Pac-12 reffing crew. All right, like what do we expect?
Nothing.
What do you expect? A well-reffed game? Get out of here. I am giving them props for making one correct call here. All right.
To be fair, also the replay officials are Big 12 officials in that case. So
true.
The replay officials agreed with the Pac-12 officials that it was incomplete.
Actually, they probably disagreed because on the field, no, it was called incomplete.
It was called incomplete, and it was confirmed incomplete.
Yep.
So, Bobby's getting a lot of hate in the chat.
Good.
I love
it. We need to humble that boy a little bit. No, so yeah, it's an ugly game, but you can, if you have any knock on this Duck team, it cannot be that they don't play to the very end of the fucking game.
Listen, man, and this is what pisses me off about the people that are like, we need to get rid of Dan Lanning. It's like, who do you want? Like, who do you want instead? You want Dion? He's not coming to Oregon. Do you want Nick Saban? He's not coming to Oregon. Dan Lanning has done a great job of recruiting, and he's won 2 games in this fashion that Mario Cristobal would have lost.
Yep.
Mario Cristobal would have lost the Washington State game, and Mario Cristobal would have lost this game. And I'm sorry, I think Chip Kelly would have lost both of those as well. Because I think
Chip Kelly is the harder sell on that one for sure.
Chip Kelly's lost those games.
Those games though, also Chip Kelly has a mixed history of those games.
That's true.
Because there are games where they look like just absolute garbage for 4.5 quarters and then score 40 points in like 3, in like 30 seconds. You're just like, oh, what? How are we winning all of a sudden? So there is that. But why did somebody got a timeout.
Put his ass in timeout.
For what? For what?
You can't go give me Willie Taggart. Fuck out of here.
Oh yeah, that's a timeout for sure. I didn't see that. Yeah, get the fuck out.
I was hot on it. I was waiting for his stupid ass to say that. It's not going to be 600 seconds. I'll bring it back, but he's got to learn.
Yeah,
you got to learn, Squish.
You can't.
Torsten says Mario sees being down 10 and caves. That's because his offense can't come back.
He doesn't cave. He keeps trying. His offense is just not. Now, Miami may be a different. I don't know. Maybe he changed his philosophy. We'll get into Miami in a minute. But anyway, Oregon, clean up the penalties. Got some improvements to make on the defense. There's a lot of new guys. They need to gel. Half of them only played a half against Portland State. Yep. So let's just pump brakes.
I really liked, I will say, the defense looked pretty ugly. I really liked the way the linebackers played. I think they actually had an underrated game.
And Justin Jacobs didn't even play.
But I think they played a really good game of football. It's just really hard to bring down a quarterback like Shuck, and but they're gonna have to get used to it.
Yeah, I think I think Oregon fans are quick to forget how much of a machine that guy. He's like 6'5", 230.
Yeah, he's fucking huge. He's not super
huge.
fast, but like
he's hard to bring down.
If you hit him around the ankles, it's a guaranteed 3 yards.
Yeah.
The guy's tall enough, man. Like he just goes, I'm a tree. Anyways.
All right. Let's move on from Oregon. Let's move to the old rivals up north. The team that shall not be named.
They played a game.
They played 2 games. Against nobody. Not nobody. Boise State's not nobody. Get off your high horse. I understand. But
I mean, Boise State is probably
Boise State's
they're not somebody.
The Boise State of 2000.
They're not. They may not be nobody, but they're not something. They're not somebody. Oh, so our inside source in the chat says they're nobody. I live here. They are trash. Fair. And I will never forgive them for blue turf. Ever, ever, ever.
I wonder what Torsten, the other one in the chat, thinks about that statement. Because I know he's from there and also likes Boise State. So
gross.
We'll see.
He says their law department is working overtime. I have not seen that. Based on the stories that came out today.
Boise State?
I have not seen anything. Torsten, would you like to elaborate?
Elaborate, please.
But yeah, Washington looks like Washington. They're going to be fine. They had a slow start against Boise State, which is, it's hard to be
it's the first game of the year.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to be like, oh, they had a slow start. They're bad. I want to, in my core, in my soul, I want to be like, they had a bad start against Boise State. That means they're going over. I really want to do that. But they're Michael Penix is Michael Penix.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine.
But there, I think I do think it does. Like, and he had some really bad drives against Tulsa as well. I think he is exactly what we think he's going to be. Great, elite talent, inconsistent.
And I think this year that's going to cost them a few games.
Yeah,
last year they squeaked out a few.
Yeah.
This year I think those squeakers turn into L's.
Yep, I agree.
And no, that's not me being a homer. That's
wait. He's talking about Torsten was talking about Michigan State because Washington plays Michigan State. I'm confused.
I'm also confused. I was about to bring up Michigan State because if you remember, I had Washington losing to Michigan State on our preview episode. And oops. I no longer have that because Michigan State is in a whole world of hurt right now.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not great.
I'm not going to get into the Mel Tucker story because we don't know even a fraction of the facts of this case, so it's not even worth talking about right now. Other than he's suspended without pay and will not be coaching against Washington. Washington's going to win this game. That's my prediction. We'll get into week 3.
No, so Torsten, the confusion came from we were talking about Boise State and you said their law department is working overtime because we're talking about Boise State being somebody, and it may be the lag on Twitch.
It's definitely the lag
that we were talking about Washington when you typed it. So I thought you were talking about Boise State's law department, and I was like, what happened at Boise State?
Somebody sued him for blue turf.
Yeah,
they should.
They should. It's a fucking crime.
It's gross.
It's disgusting, dude.
Turf needs to be green.
Day one,
I
was like, that's disgusting, dude.
Disgusting.
You're nasty.
That's so much better than me. I don't have a whole lot on Washington. This is one of those teams that hasn't played a Power 5 opponent yet. I don't really know what they did what they're supposed to do against Boise State and Tulsa.
My judgment is based off of what I saw on the field, which is they are what we thought they were. So far. So far.
And fortunately for them, they have Michigan State, who's in shambles right now, then Cal and Arizona. So as far as opening slate of Pac-12 play, they also have it relatively easy. And Washington's one of those teams that has Arizona State and Stanford on their schedule. So la-di-da for them.
Good for them, bitches.
asterisk next to their season already.
Already, dude.
Actually, Oregon has both those teams as well, so I can't say that.
We're going to be homers here.
Back weeks. Washington has those teams in back-to-back weeks, basically 2 bye weeks in a row.
Wait, hold on. No, okay. I was going to say, wait, 10, 21, 28, 11, 4. Do they have Arizona State, Stanford, and then their bye week? That math isn't mathing.
No, they don't.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Their bye week, of course, is before the Oregon game.
Of course it is.
So is Oregon's, though.
Well, that's nice.
That is nice. It usually doesn't work out that way.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I got on Washington. So far, the script is the script. Same for USC. I don't know what this team is, other than I still have question marks about their defense. They gave up 10 points to Stanford, the worst team in the conference. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Again, so far from what I've seen, they are what we think they are. Fucking Caleb Williams is him.
Yeah.
I mean,
he is absolutely
their
him,
defense. I think their defense is worse than I thought.
Did you see the throw that he had against Stanford?
Probably.
Just like 65 yards in the air on the dot.
Oh, yeah, I did. Just like on the run, too.
To Brendan Rice. Yeah. Just it's fucking stupid.
He's unbelievable.
Way to put it. And
hey, fuck that guy.
I guess he's going to have to decide if he wants to play for Arizona or not. Because they've basically
I love this about the NIL.
Already shown that they're
I fucking love this about NIL is that Caleb Williams could go, I don't want to go fucking play in Arizona. That team is trash. I'm going to come back to USC for another year, make probably a little bit less. But I mean, what is a rookie quarterback contract versus what he could make in NIL? Truly.
Oh, I think he'd make more in the NIL.
You think he'd make more in the NIL?
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, rookie
maybe
contract
not with
plus advertising
and stuff and bonuses, but like base pay, he could absolutely.
I'm just saying it's comparable. It's not like he's going to be losing a shitload of money to come back to USC for a year. So
the NIL
positive
is
of NIL.
Great for college football in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Again, not a whole lot more on USC. The offense is loaded. The defense is pretty bad. But we'll see. When you get into Pac-12 play, again, their slate is not rough until the end. They kind of get like breaks between.
Number one is
25
to 30 million, so he'd lose a lot of money.
25 to 30 million over, or is that a year? Per year?
I have no idea. But what does he make right now? 5 or 6 in his NIL?
7, I think.
Not chump change.
If I was choosing between that and Arizona, it would make me think for at least a minute.
Yeah, I wonder. Okay, but then you got to think: would they just be there again the next year?
Right. I mean, how much are you risking coming back to college and getting hurt? Like, the risk is still there. It's less than it used to be.
Yeah,
but there's still a lot of risk giving up that NFL bag for.
Yeah, I mean, he
another year of college.
Yeah, I mean. It would
he's making like 2.6 a year with NIL right now.
I know his dad came out and said like it's not a guarantee, but that could just be his dad being his dad, you know.
I think he's. See you later.
Hey, as a Duck fan, as a Duck fan, still, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm okay with him leaving. I'm okay with him going.
I'm very okay with him leaving. Very okay with it. That is perfectly fine with me. He can go kick rocks in the NFL, make a lot of money.
And make a shitload of money and probably be really fucking good.
Man, the Broncos are 0-1. Maybe they'll tank for him. I would gladly take Caleb Williams in Denver, please.
Oh, my God, dude. That'd be sick.
And I'd be the first to get that jersey, too. I don't even care if he went to USC. Sign me up.
That's a big deal for Jamie, guys. I don't think you understand how much hatred Jamie has for the color red in general.
Oh, I wouldn't buy his USC jersey.
I know, but I'm saying like the color, like you have been tainted by the color red, like
for my whole life.
It is a permanent fixture, right? They don't take off the color red for Jamie. in a lot of times. So,
yep.
Saying he would take a USC player is a big deal.
Also, when he said he'd buy the jersey, Jamie's not the guy that buys jerseys with names on the back.
I'm not. I don't like it.
So, I mean, that's a big step.
You know what's even worse than buying
that's
jerseys with names on them is buying a jersey and putting your own name on it.
It is bad.
Yikes.
It's so cringy to me.
I was gifted one once, and I've never put it on.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Still have it because, like, what am I going to do with that? But,
yeah, you're not going to throw it away.
And I'm not going to donate it.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of Freelanders out there wanting a jersey.
I have never put it on.
I think it's okay for kids to have those jerseys. But if you're a grown man...
It's okay for kids to have jerseys with players' names on them. I just don't. I typically buy the blank ones.
Yeah.
If I'm buying a jersey. That's just how it goes. All right, let's keep moving along through this list. We got Utah. I don't really know what to make of this team either because they've been I guess I do know. This is the most injured team I've seen through 2 weeks, maybe ever. And they're still 2-0 against 2 Power 5 teams.
I mean, it's fucking Whittingham is just such a great fucking coach.
He is so good.
He is so fucking good at coaching. I like what I see out of Utah. Once they can, if they can get remotely healthy, they are going to be dangerous.
I think I saw a tweet or something on Friday that they were going to be out there. Who played on Saturday at quarterback? I guess I should find out.
What's his name? Oop, that was not it. That wasn't it. I clicked the wrong thing again. Guys, I am struggling on the tech today, boys.
Box score.
Johnson.
Okay, so Bryson Barnes did play, but I saw on Friday that they were going to potentially be out their top 2 quarterbacks and their top 2 running backs and a wide receiver and a tight end or some shit. Like, I don't remember who it was, and I for sure did not substantiate it. And it looks like Bryson Barnes did play, so they definitely weren't out their top 2 quarterbacks. But Saturday was a struggle for Utah. They arguably should have lost this game. It was a comeback victory. They still almost blew it at the end of the game after they had it basically in the bag. So,
oh boy, I don't know. Did you see Bryson Barnes' stats?
Yeah, not good. And
he had a QBR of 8.9.
QBR is a garbo stat anyway,
still,
but it's still really low.
You at least gives you somewhat of an idea of how they played. Woo, 8.9 is bad.
6 of 19, 71 yards and a pick.
That's bad.
That's bad.
That's
bad. It's really bad.
Nate Johnson, on the other hand, looked good.
And they had 224 yards on the ground, which is not surprising. No. So, if this team can get healthy, they're going to be fine. That's basically my takeaway of Utah.
Same.
Oregon State, we've already touched on it a little bit. They've taken care of business. They did what they were supposed to do. They've blown out San Jose State and UC Davis, but it's San Jose State and UC Davis.
Yeah, I mean, San Jose State is a pretty good group of 5 team. They're not gonna win the Mountain West. They're not gonna win the Mountain West, but they'll be a fine team in the Mountain West. I don't think they're gonna be like hurting. So I guess that win is a little more telling.
And it was on the road.
Yeah. Uiagalelei looks way better than he ever did at Clemson, which is good for them. But again, crappy teams, or at least lower competition teams. So it's really hard to tell here. But if Uiagalelei can keep the confidence he seems to have gotten this year, they're going to be also a good team. Every team is fucking good,
dude. Yep, there's a
fucking
theme here.
Dumb, dude.
These teams are good. That's the theme. Let's move on to Colorado. One of the most talked about teams in the country. It's one of the most captivating storylines in the country right now. Saw a stat today that 10 million people watched the Colorado-Nebraska game.
That's cool.
Which is more people than watched Texas, Alabama. That's nuts.
Wow, that's nuts.
That is absurd. So there's a reason that this team's talked about. I don't think that Nebraska win was as impressive as a lot of people are making it out to be, because if you watch the game, Nebraska ran the ball all over them. CU's run defense is a problem. But if you can say anything about this Colorado team through both weeks, is they're going to capitalize on any opportunity you give them.
Yeah. So like after this Nebraska win, sitting on Twitter or wherever, people are very, 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 very high on Colorado right now. And like I think they're a good team. I am tempering that a little bit because mostly for, I guess, technically two specific reasons. And that is line play on both sides of the ball. Shadur Sanders got sacked 8 times against Nebraska. That is unacceptable as an offensive line. And Nebraska has an okay pass rush. Like it's not a bad pass rush.
Nebraska has a good defense.
Yeah, they have a fine defense. Their pass rush is fine, right? But like, you even against an elite pass rush, 8 sacks is 4 too many, right? Like that offensive line is a fucking problem, and you see it in their run game.
Yep.
The run game is not there, and it's because their offensive line is so Swiss cheese, and their defensive line isn't good either, right? They got gashed. And those are the things. If they can solidify those, like the skill positions are fucking there, right? Like Shadur Sanders looks so legit, and Travis Hunter is just unbelievable. He is an unbelievable athlete. You got to keep those two healthy, because without those two, you're in trouble. And especially Hunter. I think without Hunter, the defense is in a lot of trouble. But like I said, I still think they're a good team. I'm not as high on them as a lot of maybe the national media is. But I think they're fine, and I think they're going to do. I think they're firmly in that a B tier that we have them in. I think that's a totally adequate place for them to be.
Here's the thing: the lines are a problem. They're going to lose them games.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. Shador's going to win them games
for sure.
Shador is him, dude. That guy is unbelievable, and every bit as talented as he was made out to be. He is 69 of 89 through the air for 903 yards through 2 games. With 6 touchdowns and 0 picks. The dude has it. And yes, he was sacked a lot. It didn't faze him. Not one.
Yeah, that's impressive. Like I said, he's like without him or Travis Hunter, this team's in trouble. But like, yeah, that offensive line is so concerning to me.
The receiving core is deep. Xavier Weaver is the best receiver on this team, and Travis Hunter's there. But Xavier Weaver has 16 catches for 288 yards. The team's stacked at the skill positions. We'll see if they can fix stuff on the lines. Those are also the hardest things to gel quickly when you have new units.
Yeah.
So there's improvement to be made. They finally have a week that they can kind of do that. Like if TCU and Nebraska have strengths, especially on offense, it's the run game. And if you have a brand new D-line, that's the one thing that's going to struggle.
Well, what is Nebraska going to do? Throw the ball with Jeff Sims? I don't think
Jeff
so.
Sims is
that
terrible.
Dude's a fucking liability.
Jeff
He might
Sims
be the worst Power 5 quarterback.
He's very bad. But that O-line is good, and their run game is good. And Nebraska's defense is good, right? So I don't want to just discount the rest. Was vastly improved from the week before against TCU. The coverage, it's hard to say because Sims is so bad, so I'm not even going to rate the DBs in that game because they almost didn't need to do anything.
Yeah.
The D-line needs some work. They're getting guys back, so they also had 3 guys on that defensive front 7 that have been out since spring or since fall camp with minor dings and scrapes that they're now coming back, and they're big name guys. So I think I think this team's just rounding into its own. The fact that they were able to scrape away these 2 wins is big for them. Just confidence-wise, you got 85 new guys in the building.
Yeah.
It's big time. So, but Shedeur, man, that guy is impressive. And the skill position guys are just nuts. So we'll see this is going to continue to be the most interesting experiment in college football.
I mean, it's setting up for game day in Oregon, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we've got game day and big noon kickoff in Boulder this week again.
Nice. Wait, game day is coming to Colorado State?
Game day.
Oh, so they're not going to do it
Boulder.
2 in a row. Never mind then.
I wouldn't say that.
Have they ever done the same team 2 weeks in a row? Ever?
Oh, I'm sure they have. I'm sure they've done Bama at some point 2 weeks in a row.
I'm going to look it up.
But you're right. It probably means they're not going to Oregon, Colorado. But that game is on ABC, and it's at 12:30, so I wouldn't put it past me. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. It doesn't.
I think they might have back at like Auburn, maybe back in that 2010 run. I don't know.
No. So it looks like they've never held consecutive weeks with a team.
Home.
No, just with a team. That's just what it says. It says not held in consecutive weeks.
I'm just wondering if that counts road games.
Okay, I'll look
You
that
might
up.
You might not be able to find the stat, but yeah, I mean, it's going to continue to be an interesting experiment. There's going to be losses on this schedule, and like we said, probably for every team, but Colorado's also going to beat some teams that probably they shouldn't. Just because of the skill positions.
Florida did it in 97 and 2012.
Had it, and we're on it in back-to-back weeks.
Both of them were as visitors in both games.
Interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
weird.
here's the thing. I wouldn't put it like logistically. It makes the most. Like if you're gonna go west at any point for a game day game, coming from Boulder is not a far stretch.
Yeah.
And it's the most captivating story in college football right now, so I would not be surprised if they do it.
I have a question for you regarding Colorado. It's on topic. How do you feel about leaders and dogs?
I don't care. It doesn't. I pretty much have no opinion.
Oh, interesting. I was just curious. I think it's corny. Like I think it's one of those things that like people like because they're winning. If they start to losing, it's good. It's going to be based on their win loss, right? Because if they're winning, people are like, that's
going
to
do that all the time with Dion, no matter what. Here's the thing.
I just think it's corny. I saw it. I was like, that's kind of corny.
I mean, it's
Dion's kind of corny.
He is.
Yeah,
he's 100%, and he twists storylines to be in his favor. It's what he does, dude.
Yeah,
what he's done his whole life. You just, as a Colorado fan, you got to take everything that Dion is and just embrace it.
Yeah,
because if
totally.
you start nitpicking like that, it's frivolous.
I mean, it's not like a knock on the program, right? Like it's not like they.
Oh,
I just think it's. I saw that. I was like, that's dumb.
If it was me, I'd be like, no. But if it's working for his football team,
yeah, fuck it, whatever. I mean, do you? I just saw that. I was like, leaders and dogs. I'm a dog. I'm not
Dion's
a captain.
I'm
a dog.
Dion's a lot. He is a lot.
He is a lot.
It's exhausting at times, but man, is it captivating right now.
Yeah, like you said, most talked about team right now.
I mean, has there ever been a more, I don't know. It's one of the craziest things that I've ever seen in college football. What's going on in Boulder right now?
It's up there.
With where they were.
I'm going to be interested to see, like, say they drop that Oregon game, just hypothetical, totally hypothetical here. If they drop the Oregon game and it's a significant loss, right? let's just say that happens. Like, where does this media hype stay?
Oh yeah,
you think so? You think that hype stays?
And they're going to lose They're going to lose to Oregon, and they're going to lose to USC. Like, those are losses. It's hard to win at Autzen, and USC is USC. Those are going to be losses, and then they're going to win against Arizona State and Stanford to come back, and it's going to be right back. They're going to be 5-2, and it's still now. Will it be as heightened as it is right now? Probably. I mean, no. There's no way that it's going to sustain its current level of fever pitch. But
I'm just interested in how far back down it comes back to earth, right? You know, that's what I mean. Like,
by the end of the year, when the team's 7-5 or 6-6, like we say, I think we're now seeing that this team's going to be closer to their ceiling than their floor in our predictions.
Yep.
Right. I mean, if you're looking at the rest of this schedule, they have 3 pretty much locks for wins. And then Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
So
for some reason, I took Colorado State out of that in my mind. I was like, the third.
And Arizona is probably at
probably
home.
A win.
That's probably a win.
Probably
so
a win.
You got your 6. The rest of it's going to be very difficult. But it'll come down. If they keep winning, if they win that Oregon game,
oh god,
it's going to be the most insufferable.
I'm not going to watch. I'm not going to follow college sports, man. I'm just like, ugh.
It is going to be
so tired of Dion.
Insufferable thing ever. Fortunately for me, it will be negative and positive, but
yeah,
I hate that game. I don't even want to talk about it right now. So we're going to move on to Cal. This team's confusing.
That's a good way of putting it.
Actually, it's really not, because they just really don't have a quarterback. And that's going to be their downfall in the Pac-12, because you can't not have a quarterback in this conference and win.
Yeah, especially this conference. Like, you're not going to get away. Like, Jaden Ott is amazing. He's a great player.
Any quarterback in the conference not named whoever Stanford's quarterback's name is, they would have beat Auburn. Any other quarterback.
Oh, by quite a bit.
Jaden Rashada, Dante Moore, and then any of those top 8 guys that we've bragged about the rest of this. They would have beat Auburn by multiple scores. So the downfall of Cal is going to be their lack of quarterback.
I totally agree with that. And
that's where I stand there.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Go
no,
ahead.
I'm good.
I don't have a lot else. I mean, they're talented, and they've clearly gotten miles better on defense. So there's improvement, and it's pretty much what we said going into the season. The quarterback situation has not been fixed, and it's gonna suck for them.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, like, Ben Finley isn't necessarily the worst.
It's just the Pac-12's loaded.
But yeah, he is the 3rd worst, which is not necessarily like a slight. Like, he'd probably be like a top half of any other conference.
I think he's probably the 2nd worst, but
you think? You think Rashada's better?
I saw some flashes out of Rashada on Saturday.
But like currently, right now.
Currently today, yeah, he's probably 3rd, but he's going to be the 2nd worst.
Eventually, yeah, I would agree with that. I think Jaden Rashada has a lot of upside for sure. But yeah, but Jaden Ott can't speak higher of that kid. He is so fucking good.
He's an animal, but he went out in the 2nd quarter.
Oh, that's right.
Of that game, also hurt them. So they're going to rely on their run game, and they can run the ball. Don't get me wrong. They've averaged 230 yards a game. It's a lot. But it's not gonna do you a whole lot in Pac-12. UCLA, another team that I just don't know a whole lot about right now.
They're kind of weird. They're running this fucking like committee quarterback shit, and I don't get it, but they look good doing it. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not going to blow the doors
taking
off.
The most of the snaps, but
is he now? Because last week he wasn't, or not last week. Coastal Carolina.
Coastal, it was
he was very much the backup.
Last week he pretty much. We look at the. Oh, I'm getting stuffy. Fucking COVID.
Fucking COVID, dude. Fucking COVID. It sucks, dude.
Dante Moore was 17 of 27 with 3 touchdowns, and Colin Shalee had 2 passes.
Oh, okay. Well, that is fucking weird. Okay. Because I looked over at this game a couple times, and I just happened to see Colin Shalee both of his passes because I was like, oh, they're still doing the committee thing.
Well, that's funny because game 1 it was Ethan Garbers, not Colin Shalee.
Oh, that's right, dude. Fucking, it's so weird, dude.
It just tells me that they don't know yet.
Yeah,
which is fine for them because their non-conference slate has 0 Power 5 opponents. How do teams get away with this shit? Oregon State too. How do you guys get away with that?
I don't know.
It drives me nuts.
I don't know, man.
I talk about how awesome the Pac-12 is in playing a 9-game conference schedule and all this shit, and then you guys don't schedule a single Power 5 opponent. Fucking lame. So lame. Anyway.
But Dante looks good. Dante looks good.
Serviceable for now. He will be very good.
Yeah.
Completion percentage isn't there. He's making some dumb freshman mistakes, but the intangibles are there, and he'll figure it out. Washington State, one of the most impressive wins so far in the Pac-12, although I think Wisconsin was overrated, much like TCU for the Colorado win. But that Wisconsin win was legit. The defense looked better than I thought it would. Wisconsin's passing attack is pretty much non-existent, so.
Yeah. I mean,
or the rushing attack was non-existent. They actually threw the ball for almost 300 yards, but just a very solid effort by Washington State on Saturday.
Yeah, and to really hold on at the end of that game when Wisconsin was making their final push, or I guess the third quarter, when they were making that final push to hold on and really kind of ice the game near the end. It shows a lot of grit that they didn't have last year. I kind of thought this year. I thought that I'm surprised by how their defense looks. Their defense looks better than I thought they would be. I'm not really surprised by the offense. Cam Ward looks better. It's still not great. I would say he still has the problems he had last year in some respects. But he looks improved. So that's good for him. He still just kind of forces it a little too much.
Yeah.
He's still sometimes you see him throw the ball away, dog. Sometimes you don't need to run around for 45 yards side to side to throw an incomplete pass. Sometimes just give up.
Yeah, and Washington State and Oregon State, as you kind of alluded to earlier, are going to have the us against the world mentality this year, which is gonna make them play maybe above their level at times.
Yeah.
Let's keep going to the Arizona Wildcats. One of the 4 losses, one of the 3 non-conference losses here, and that Mississippi State loss, but it was a gritty effort by them. Comeback effort came up a little short. In overtime, but
if Jaden DeLauro was just a little bit taller, man, just a little bit taller, we're looking at 4 OT. How many OTs were they in already?
I think they only did 1.
No, just the
one, was the first. That was the first OT. But
we're looking at OTs.
This came up short. I think this team's going to be okay. Mississippi State is not that good, so
I think we'll see with Mississippi State. I don't.
They're going to be a middle of the road.
Yeah, I would agree.
When Arizona is a middle of the road Pac-12 team, so
this being a close game is not surprising.
It's pretty much on track. Their first game against Northern Arizona, you can't take anything from that. So
yeah,
we'll see when they get here. They've got UTEP up next, and then Stanford to start their Pac-12 slate. So, but then they have, again, as we talked about, the toughest stretch of games. Oh my God, it's got even tougher. I know that rankings don't mean a lot. Holy shit! Listen to this schedule.
All right.
UTEP Stanford. Okay, probably wins.
2 wins.
Then, this is brutal. Washington at home, at USC, at Washington State, home against Oregon State, home against UCLA, at Colorado, home against Utah.
That's fucking brutal, dude.
And Oregon's not even in there.
That's fucking brutal. Yikes.
They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row that they're playing a team that's going to be better than them.
Ouch. Here's the thing. This is going to be a real coaching test.
Oh, yeah.
You got to try to hold that team together because that's a lot of really tough games and probably a lot of losses right there that you don't necessarily deserve.
Right. I mean, if you're looking at this, what are the winnable games in that? Colorado, Washington State, probably. And those are road games.
That is fucking
The Palouse is hard
brutal.
to play, and Boulder is going to be fucking tough this year.
Let's see. So that's a loss. That's a loss. Probably a loss. Loss. I mean,
UCLA.
they could be a 5-win team and be like, I would take them against the fucking bottom half of the SEC. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
They could not make a bowl game and still be better than half the teams in the fucking bowl games.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
What a stretch.
God, the Pac-12. Why is it dying?
It doesn't get a whole lot better for the next team that we're going to talk about, and that's Arizona State. We're getting down to the bottom 2 in the conference here.
Ouch.
Lost to Oklahoma State. They kept this game close for a lot of the game. They just didn't get out of the locker room in the second half. Didn't make any adjustments.
I think you started to see Kenny Dillingham's like plan come into play, but they just don't have the talent to keep up right now. And I think that was pretty evident in this game. Like you said at the beginning, and like I've always said, and like whenever something happens
early in a game,
I've always said anyone can play with anyone for a half. Right? Like
we saw it with Colorado. Colorado last year is a perfect example of this. Cameron, how many games did we go to that it was a 1-score game or a 10-point game at half that they ended up losing by 40? Most of them.
Yeah, like 4 of the 6 we went to.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like I think you saw that like there were flashes of good play.
What this team can be.
What the scheme would lend to this team. Because again, I just don't think they have enough talent to compete right now. They need a lot more talent to run the offense the way it should be ran.
You want to hear an even tougher schedule than their compadres up in Tempe?
Yes.
Their Pac-12 slate looks like this.
They play a good Fresno State team.
They might lose. They might lose out.
They might lose out.
They might lose because Fresno State, all right, it's at home, it's winnable. The rest of this might not even be winnable.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. We'll count it down as we go.
Home against USC.
Loss.
At Cal. Winnable because Cal doesn't have a quarterback. Probably a loss.
90% a loss there.
Colorado at
loss.
Home. At Washington.
Loss. Big loss.
Home against Washington State.
Loss.
At Utah.
Big loss.
At UCLA.
Big loss.
Home against Oregon.
Huge loss. At the end of the season, get fucked. Like
home against Arizona.
That's loss as well. Although it's a rivalry game. I'm not going to pencil that as a loss because rivalry games are fucking weird.
There are 2 games in there that we kind of hesitated on.
Yeah. That's rough, dude. Ugh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the 8 ranked Pac-12 teams on that schedule.
I would. It's rough times for Arizona State fans.
Rough times for both Arizona schools, man. Those schedules are tough. And Arizona State misses Stanford, the only team in the pack that I would probably pick them against.
That's so unfortunate, man. That is so unfortunate. Who's the other team they miss? Oregon State?
Oregon State.
All right, so that's good, I guess.
But the rest of the North is
just crazy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you, you'd rather play, I don't know, because you get Cal. Like, you want Cal and Stanford from the North. Those are the teams that you don't want to miss this year. Ooh, brutal. All right. And Stanford. This team, I will say, when they came out against Hawaii, they looked better than I thought they would look.
Yes.
And then against
Which is
USC.
Not big.
It's not big. And then against USC, their quarterback, and I'm totally blanking his name right now, Ashton Daniels, went out early in the game. He only had 7 passes, but he went out with what looked like a pretty gnarly arm injury.
Oof.
On a sack. And so that was the end of the night for Stanford. Ashton Daniels actually looked pretty good to start the year. And I think he's going to be a legit quarterback eventually. But
well, he was highly touted coming out of high school, I believe.
If he's down, this team's not winning again, including maybe against Sacramento State.
I think they'll beat Sacramento State.
They'll beat Sac State, but
after that, even with Ashton Daniels, it's still because they obviously missed the other winnable game there, right? Arizona State.
Yeah, but they also have Notre Dame.
That's a loss. That's rough. God damn it, dude. Why is the Pac-12 dying?
Stanford after this week is not going to win a game.
I'm not on their schedule right now. Let me see.
Arizona, Oregon, Colorado, UCLA, Washington State, Oregon State, Cal, Notre Dame.
Yeah, they're not going to win a game. That's it. After Sacramento State, they're going to be a 2-win team, which is exactly what I pegged them at. Staying strong, baby.
All right, so that's kind of where the Pac-12 stands right now. We won't do this every week, but we missed last week. Kind of wanted to just get caught up on how we feel, and by and large, I'm pretty much on the same track that I was on. I'm higher on Washington State than I was after our previews, which again is not surprising given the circumstances. They're going to be playing with their hearts out. I'm a little higher on Arizona maybe than I was, but I don't know what Mississippi State is. The rest of it is not surprising to me.
Yeah, I am right there as well. Like, pretty much the way I thought this would shake down after previews is kind of how it's going right now. I'm probably a little bit lower on Oregon, just slightly lower on Oregon after that Texas Tech game, just because it exposed some of the weaknesses they really need to work on. I'm a little higher on the Buffs than I was, and I'm a little bit higher on Arizona. And although I'm like right at Washington State, I think I was kind of right there. I didn't think they'd be ranked, but I thought they'd be a pretty decent team. So I'd say I think I'm a little higher on Colorado, a little lower on Oregon are the two things that I'm with. Maybe a little bit higher on Oregon State right now.
Yeah, I'd say I'm higher on Oregon. Well,
not a ton, just because we don't know. But
still on wait and see.
Like DJ looks comfortable. So
here's the thing for Oregon State, that Washington State game, that's the one that's going to tell me what Oregon State is.
Yeah.
At the Palouse, that one's going to tell me what that team is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other notable stuff to talk about in the first 2 weeks. We don't need to go through all of it.
Alabama goes down.
Alabama goes down. That's huge.
You know what? I got to give you a little bit of prop for this as well. But you said to me at the beginning of the season, I don't know if you even remember this. You said to me at the beginning of the season, you said, it sounds weird to say, but I don't think Alabama's going to be great this year. And here we are. Good job.
I do remember saying that, and I remember why I said it. It's because I don't know who their quarterback is.
Yep. And what is it, Milrow or whatever? He's fine, but
he's not an Alabama quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not a superstar quarterback.
Yes. But you still didn't pick him in the Texas game. You didn't pick Texas in the Texas game like your boy did. Like your boy did.
Yeah, and that won you the pick 'em. God damn it.
It did win me the pick 'em.
I just couldn't.
It's hard. It was a hard pick.
I just could not buy into the Texas is back. I said it on our preview episode. I'm not buying into the Texas is back thing until they're back. Guess what?
I think they're back.
They're back.
Quinn Ewers is him, man.
Quinn Ewers is him, and the rest of their schedule is
cakewalk.
Relative cakewalk. Right. Like you got Oklahoma and Kansas State in there as.
Oklahoma. I think. I gotta check. I gotta check Oklahoma real quick. Because I know they're putting up a lot of points.
I mean, they beat SMU 28-11. That's not.
Never mind.
It's not
because I have not been very high on Oklahoma, but I saw they won 73-0. But against that's Arkansas State. So I don't even know if that's going to be a fucking good game. Because especially they play Cincinnati, who's going to be not great but pretty decent. I guess Iowa State is fine. So I guess they don't really play a whole lot of people before that. It'll be fun Red River rivalry though.
It will.
Red rivalry.
And the Big 12's not like a slouch, but like Texas should be undefeated by the end of the year.
Yes, they should.
By what I saw on Saturday. Now, they could very easily coog it as they tend to do.
As they tend to do.
So we'll see. But here's the thing. This is why rankings are stupid, right? Why is Michigan at number 2 and why is Georgia at number 1 right now, other than preconceived notions about what those teams should be?
Yeah, dude.
Texas and Florida State should be the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country.
Yep. I totally agree.
And Utah and Colorado should be up in the top 10 if we're going solely based on results on the field.
Well, it never is. That's the problem, right?
I know. So. I'm just saying. And it's fine because it's not results based and it is opinion based, and I get it. But
it's dumb.
Georgia's looked mediocre.
They
haven't played anyone, and South Carolina coming up, so I guess that's something. But
is it though?
No, they're bad.
South Carolina lost to UNC and pretty bad.
And their line looked worse than Colorado's.
Well,
it did. Their line looked real bad.
Their line looked pretty bad. Pretty real fucking bad.
Tennessee has looked meh. You kind of called that.
Yep. I am not a Joe Milton guy, man. I don't see it.
Jury's still out on Ohio State. There's a lot to figure out in college football this year.
This is really setting up for a really wild season right now. We're seeing a lot of these top tier teams maybe not look as top tier as they have in the past, right?
Which is thanks to the transfer portal.
Yep. And then we're also seeing some of these teams, thanks to the transfer portal, that maybe aren't necessarily these powers that have been around for a few years, start to rise to the top. And I'm fucking here for it, man.
I'm so here for it. It's going to be a great
season. I hope this year, the fucking 2023, the year of our Lord, and the year of the last year of 4 teams in the playoff, I hope there's a 3-loss champion. How fucking sick would that be, dude?
Just every team in the country's lost 2 games or more.
Yeah. How fucking sick would that be?
It would be. Georgia won't, just because they have absolute cupcake schedule.
But what if?
What if?
What if, dude?
What if they lose to Auburn and Ole Miss?
Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing, man. At Auburn, don't take it off your calendar.
At Auburn and at Tennessee.
Auburn's not a good team, but
games.
Auburn loves to win games that they have no fucking business winning.
That is 100% true.
So, 100% true. in all likelihood, Georgia's going to absolutely blow them out. But don't take it off your calendars, kids.
All right, real quick, let's run through the Week 3 slate of games. Pac-12. If there is a cupcake week in the Pac-12, it is this week because there is a whopping one FBS game.
Hell yeah.
One Power 5 game, sorry. There's a lot of FBS games, but one Power 5 game, and that is Washington at Michigan State. We've already kind of previewed that with Mel Tucker stuff. Washington should handle that one.
I had that the rest of them from the beginning, but yeah, Washington should absolutely handle that.
The rest of them, we've got Utah against Weber State. Nothing. Oregon State at home against San Diego State.
This could, like, San Diego State's a pretty decent team. I think Oregon State will still win this, but like I would expect this game to be a little bit closer than you want it to be as a
at least at halftime.
At least at halftime. Yep.
We've got Northern Colorado at Washington State.
Love it.
North Carolina Central at UCLA. Hawaii at Oregon. One thing I saw on Twitter today, are we going to see the resurgence of the Ohana jersey?
I fucking hope so, man.
Because this is the game it was supposed to be debuted for back in 2020.
That'd be fucking so sick.
I want it.
Fucking sick.
I want that.
Yeah.
So
Torsten says Hawaii's passing attack could cause problems. Yeah, I think for the first half, kind of like the same thing we've been talking about with a lot of these teams. For the first half, I think it could. Oregon's too good. I think they're too good to.
Matchup predictor: Oregon is a 98.2% favorite in this game.
Yeah, Hawaii passes for a lot of yards, but they don't really score a ton. So I think red zone defense is going to be the real kicker here, right? They've only scored in the 30s once, and that was UA Albany. University of Albany, not UA Albany. Sorry, University of Albany, and it was 31-20. So yes, their passing attack is their strength. It will. I don't see.
It's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Texas Tech's passing attack.
No, it is not.
Put it that way. And it's in Eugene. It's just tough place to play, especially a night game. Sac State at Stanford. Stanford's lone win left on their schedule. Colorado State at Colorado. Rocky Mountain Showdown in Boulder. It's a Pac-12 after dark game. Colorado State's not good. This should be
blowout.
Pretty easy to handle for the Buffaloes. Fresno State at Arizona State. As you pointed out, this Fresno State team's good. Already knocked off a Power 5 opponent in Purdue this year. So watch out for this one. This is probably the one on the schedule in the non-conference slate that I'd be like, keep your eye on. Fresno State at Arizona State, and then UTEP at Arizona. UTEP's pretty bad.
Yep. Are there any like big games out there this week?
There are a few. No. There's no like ranked versus ranked type games.
There's not a ranked versus ranked game?
I don't think so. This is week 3 is almost always the like meh week because it's the week before conference play starts. And everybody wants that.
Whoa, Jamie.
What?
Virginia Lynchburg is playing at Merrimack. Fuck, man. Pencil it in, kids. That's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah. Let me just scan.
Florida, Tennessee. So Torsten says, first he says he'd take Fresno State. Second, he says the biggest is West Virginia at Pitt. Lame. And Florida at Tennessee. Lame.
Yeah, I mean, so they're like the FBS or Power 5 versus Power 5 games. You got an SEC game. You got LSU at Mississippi State, Kansas State at Missouri, South Carolina at Georgia, Minnesota at North Carolina, Tennessee at Florida, And then I'm also going to throw in Northern Illinois at Nebraska and see if the Huskers can go 0-3.
Oh boy. It's going to be kind of a dud week, but that's okay. It's okay. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I could use a breath before Pac-12
plays. Well, also, here's the thing. I love a good this is setting up perfectly because we're sitting here going, it's going to be a dud week. You know what that means?
Crazy shit.
There's going to be a massive upset, and I want you to try to call it right now. This can't be like, oh, like Fresno State's going to beat Arizona State. I'm talking like massive, like Appalachia State over Michigan type win. Where is it going to be?
Let me look.
It doesn't have to be that significant, right? But like one where you'd be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Northern Illinois at Nebraska.
No, that doesn't count.
It counts.
No.
That would be a huge upset.
Boo. That's not a huge upset.
All right, let's look at
the
game.
Jamie.
How much of an upset this would be.
I think I know mine. And this is it might be the same cop out. I'll pull the group here. I'm gonna go Wyoming over Texas.
That would be massive.
Yeah, just hangover game, man. So
that would be.
Sorry, I just look at chat. Torsten also agrees with me.
That would be bigger than Northern Illinois over Nebraska. That's just one I want to see. What am I gonna
hangover game, baby?
I gotta find one that I'm gonna call.
I am original, Torsten. That's how I roll, my man. I know. I was waffling between that but like the one at first, I was like kind of like scrolling through. I was like, man, this is kind of lame. I was gonna say South Carolina over Georgia, but I don't. That's not the one. It's not the one.
It's not the one. I don't know, man.
Did you say it first, Torsten? Did you?
None of these look fun, and I don't think any of them are going to happen. Is the problem?
No, that's not what matters.
Mississippi State over LSU.
Fuck yeah, I love that one. One where you're just like, God damn, that's crazy.
Mississippi State over LSU. That's the one I'm calling. And I'm calling two. Northern Illinois is going to beat Nebraska.
Yeah. See, like the thing is for that, like, I wouldn't be crazy shocked. Is that weird? Like, is it weird that I wouldn't be like crazy shocked? I would be a little shocked
because like Nebraska's O-line is legitimately good, and they should be able to just run all over them.
But Sims could throw away a game pretty easy.
He's not playing. He's hurt.
Oh.
He has a high
yeah. Okay. You know what? I'll give you the Northern Illinois one because they just lost to South Illinois 14-11. All right, I'll give it. But they beat Boston College. What the fuck? I love college football so goddamn much, dude. I love it so fucking much.
So much. And the you got a rivalry game in Colorado State at Colorado. Colorado State's bad, so they're not going to win, and Colorado's way too talented and is just going to score at will on Saturday. But I don't want to just like sleep on it because the lines are a problem. The D line's a problem, and the O line's a problem. So when you have problems and somebody can exploit said problem, you could lose a game that you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
This isn't that game for Colorado, and I don't think they're going to lose at home to Colorado State. But crazier shit's happened. I don't see that one, and I'm not going to. Clearly not going to call it.
There's not a lot. Oh, okay. I might switch mine. I might switch it to Tulsa over Oklahoma. Because Oklahoma's on the road against Tulsa. And Tulsa just got smacked by Washington. But I think Washington is a far superior team than Oklahoma.
Good one.
I'm going to change mine. I'm changing my pick to Tulsa over Oklahoma.
I like that. I think that's more likely than Wyoming over Texas.
Dude, the big game hangover. Big game hangover, man.
Yeah,
that can be fucking bad.
It can, but Texas is just so good this year.
Yeah.
They
Quinn Ewers is
manhandled
him.
Alabama. And the lines were better. That's where I was like, okay, this isn't just Quinn Ewers slinging the ball all over the field.
Yeah.
They were better up front than Alabama.
They're fucking good.
That team's legit. That team is 100% legit. All right, buddy. That's it this week. We did it.
We did it.
Made it through COVID to do a podcast.
I think it's your buzzer beater.
It's yours. I just listened to the last episode and I did the buzzer beater. So it's your buzzer beater.
Oh, God.
Listener and viewer, thank you for tuning in. We love you. Thank you for those of you in the chat. We really love interacting with you guys. And if you're just along for the ride, we love that too. Zeta June, thank you for letting us use your music in the outro, especially for those listening on the podcast part, unless Eli can figure this out on the outro here.
No, it's not happening.
Super producer Cameron, thanks for your input as always and helping us keep the chat squishy free at times. Much appreciated. Until next time, everybody. Eli, please take us away.
I don't know if I could be like super original here. I think it's a pretty self-explanatory buzzer beater, right? Because my buzzer beater is Pac-12, RIP. You're so good.
Deuces.
No, wait, that's the wrong thing, right?